Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 1590 in Avowed. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. I am running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs here in Tech Power-Ups, GPU 0, Sizable bodies also enabled. And over on the left, I am pairing it with the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and 32GB of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, let's go for the settings first. I am starting at 4K resolution using windowed full screen. This is either on windowed full screen or windowed. There's no exclusive full screen, okay? And I'm using unlimited FPS, of course, 95 FOV, zero motion blur, no VSync. Ray tracing is turned on. DLSS, well, it was set to quality, but let's turn it off completely right now, so it's native 4K. And the epic settings. So the game is maxed out at the moment at native resolution. One more thing, guys, over in the Nvidia app, you can go to the graphics settings, search for Avowed right here, and scroll down to override the DLSS model. So I'm using the latest one here, and also the 4x multi-frame generation instead of the default 2x, which comes inside of this game. And it's available here whenever you got DLSS enabled. But let's turn it off again, and let's do this. And I'm starting a new game right here, guys. I am very surprised to see 60 frames per second only with a $2,000 GPU that's actually costing like $3,000 these days. This is a bit unexpected and underwhelming, honestly. I wasn't expecting this. I was playing this game actually yesterday for about half an hour on an RTX 4050 laptop on medium settings, 1080p, and also on high settings, 1080p with DLSS quality, and I was above 60 FPS all of the time. And obviously this game has been out for a few days already. I'm a little bit late to the party. It's actually dropping into the 50s, as you can see over here with the water. Very intensive stuff. Hello. Okay, so this one is dead, definitely. Looks great, actually, underwater. Better than outside. Little chest. Let me grab some things here. Ooh, the fish. The fish is actually looking nice. Okay. Textures aren't really all that amazing, but I guess that's by design, right? The art style of the game is a little bit different than what we are used to. Yeah, this game is putting a 1590 to its knees with these graphics. It's kind of crazy to think about. But again, you can make it way more playable by lowering the settings, as I did on that RTX 4050 laptop, and it was absolutely fine then. Let me just grab my dagger. Actually, I need to go to the inventory to grab my dagger, so we gotta stop counting the FPS again. That's bad, actually. Okay. Well, anyway, let's keep on going. Every time I need to go to the inventory menu, I guess I'll just restart counting our FPS. Yeah, okay. See some water here, dropping down our FPS once again into the 50s. Seems like the water is really intensive here on epic settings, guys. But the thing is, it looks very similar on high instead of epic. And you can get a lot higher FPS, of course, so there's that. I'm not sure yet if it's terribly optimized, because I don't think it is. It ran on a 4050 absolutely fine, but yeah, if you max it out, it leaves a lot to be desired. The graphics aren't really amazing, as you can clearly tell, right? And it is very intensive anyway. I need to heal myself. There we go. Oh boy, stop doing that to me, buddy. Come on, you know what? That guy should definitely be helping us more. Yes, that's what I'm paying him for. Compared to KCD2, it's definitely not an impressive game whatsoever in terms of its optimization. But compared to other titles, especially other UE5 titles, because this is based on the Unreal Engine 5 as well, it's optimized. It also doesn't stutter too much. At least I am not really noticing frame time variations much, which is very nice, of course. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna stop it there. We got some beautiful FPS there on average, 69. And now I'm gonna enable DLSS on quality, which if you do the override inside of the Nvidia app once again, which I did, it looks really nice, actually. It kind of looks better than native because now it sharpens up the image quite a bit, guys, because it was really soft at native resolution without any upscaling whatsoever. With TSR 100%, it also looks really soft and ghostly as well. And with the previous version of DLSS, it wasn't as sharp as this, for sure. And right now, with quality DLSS, I would say it does look better than native resolution. It's DLSS4 once again with that new model, and it just works, my friends. It works really, really well in pretty much all of the games that I tested it in so far. And now instead of getting those 50 to 60 frames per second, we're getting close to 100. So this is closer to what I would expect at native resolution with these graphics. If you don't think of it as being a UE5 title, you would probably come into this and expect like 250 FPS with a GPU this powerful at 4K native resolution. Oh, nice. We got a shield as well. Also, I really like this combination here, the double dagger. Looks really nice, actually, and I liked playing the game like that with the 4050 once again. I think the most impressive thing about this game being UE5 is that it doesn't stutter. It actually does a really good job with the compilation of the shaders, and the frame time is flat. It's not a stuttery mess like we usually see UE5 titles being. So that's probably why it's regarded of being very well optimized, I think. All right, let's go. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, I'm forgetting these attacks, you know, the charged attacks, which are a little bit more powerful. Okay, let's regenerate some stamina here. All right. Come on. Okay, good stuff. Look at that. Nice. We got the bastard. Good stuff, good stuff. My daggers are now very bloody. Eggplant. Wait. I don't see him wielding an eggplant. Where do you have that eggplant hidden, my friend? Okay, anyway. Let's drink this up now. I need it. Come on, let's go. Fight the bastards. Fight the bobs. Also, I did disable some settings that you need to disable to make the game run very well. And that's the view bobbing. Actually, I should probably show it to you after we're done with this guy. Right, let's go. Oh boy, he also has charged attacks. Wait a second. Now, the setting that I was telling you about is head bobbing. You definitely don't want this enabled because we hate Bobby here in this channel, okay? And I can't wait for GTA 5 with ray tracing, which will come in March, and I will be testing a bunch of GPUs and killing Bob in every single one of those videos. It's gonna be beautiful, my friend. Anyway, let's grab this and let's get out of here. Let's continue the game in this direction. Okay, this is not an open world title from what I've seen, so it's a little bit linear, you know, you can take multiple approaches to the objectives and stuff, but it is linear, so I'm not gonna go back to these places to test other settings and stuff to compare them and so on. I'm just gonna keep on playing the game and enjoying it a little bit here, and yeah, that's about it. Let's continue. Going over here, barred door. Oh yeah, we need to go this way. There we go, 100 FPS. Maybe it's time for us to try out some multi-frame generation, because that's probably going to work extremely well since we don't have any frame time spikes and stuff. Anyway, let's go with the bow and the arrow now. Now let's shoot those things over there. And that will light those things up on fire, those roots. Little stutter there. I think it was rendering in this new area. We're on fire. Interestingly, it's the first time that I've been on fire. How can I stop being on fire? Come on. Okay, there we go, finally. You know what? Let's enable that multi-frame generation that I was telling you about finally. And as I told you guys, I did override the frame generation in the Nvidia app to 4 times. So this is 4 times FG, not the default 2 times. Works really well. We're getting 200 plus, almost 300 FPS. That looks way more impressive. Input latency is on the top right as well, 30 to 40 milliseconds. It feels pretty responsive. It's not as responsive as it was on native res, okay? Or it's still native res, but on native frames without the frame generation. But it still feels very, very responsive. For a single-player title like this, you can't even tell, honestly, in my opinion. If we take a look at it right here, standing still, we're getting 31, 33 milliseconds, 34 PC latency there. And if I disable the frame generation, sitting in the exact same position, we're getting 23, 24, 22 milliseconds. So it adds about 10 milliseconds for us to have that multi-frame generation enabled. And obviously, if you have a super high refresh rate monitor, I think it's worth considering this, and it's worth utilizing it, because image quality-wise, it's almost the same. It's slightly softer here, actually, with the DLSS multi-frame generation enabled, but not to the point where it matters much. It still looks sharper this way than native resolution without DLSS altogether. And it's still with quality DLSS, by the way. You can't use DLAA, unfortunately, in this one without the upscaler from DLSS, you know. Should we name this guy Jack? I'm not gonna hit you, buddy. Oh, look at him, so cute. And he's moving at like 3 FPS. Why? Is that caused by the multi-frame generation? I'm not sure. You know what? Let's take a look at it. Maybe I'm finding something here that needs correction with the multi-frame generation. Move, buddy, move. No, it's not the multi-frame generation. It just moves like that, maybe for optimizations or something like that, you know? But yeah, anyway, I would definitely not have a problem whatsoever playing this game with multi-frame generation, and I would encourage you to do so if you're running a super high refresh rate monitor at 4K, like a 240 Hz, for example. This way you can stay above your native refresh rate all of the time, pretty much, and make the game only look slightly softer, once again, which is not really a big deal. I would much rather have the ultra buttery smooth experience. Now, these are fake frames, obviously. I'm not saying that they're real. I'm not saying that this is actually better performance, because it isn't better performance. It's just smoother, you know. It's a frame smoothing technique, basically. But in my opinion, depending on the game and the GPU as well, and the FPS that you get as a baseline, it can enhance the experience by quite a bit, and I like it. All right. Also, I do have a sword. At this point, I picked up a sword inside of the chest previously, but I'm not using it. Also, the 1% lows, I want to talk about that because you can see the frame time graph is a bit weirder right now than it was before with the native frames without FG. And that's because of the new way they pace the frames, the AI-generated frames. Instead of being on the CPU side of things, like the previous frame generation version did, it is now on the GPU side of things, and MSI Afterburner doesn't count the FPS, or it doesn't count the frame times, basically, on the GPU side of things after all of those things are happening, or after the frame pacing has taken place. So it looks like that. But it is actually, in fact, very, very smooth. You can see the proper 1% lows over on the top right corner, 200, 250. And if I start counting the FPS in MSI Afterburner, it shows 60 FPS, 1% lows because of that frame pacing. Once again, oh boy, I am dying, actually. I'm not paying much attention to what I'm doing. Also, if you're wondering what overlay that is on the top right, it's just the Nvidia app overlay. Press Alt-Z, this shows up. It's a bit bugged because of the multi-frame generation being enabled at the moment and not being implemented inside of the game. But yeah, it works without an issue whatsoever, so that's nice in terms of the gameplay experience. So now we have a fire attack, which is very nice. And now we're gonna fight some bastards with that fire attack, but I actually want to disable the multi-frame generation since, you know, this is going to be a super fast, high refresh rate experience all of the time with that enabled. And I'm gonna go back to just normal frames with DLSS quality to see how much it actually drops whenever we do those fire attacks and so on. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Hello, you know what? Let's fight this guy over here, fight this guy over here, this guy and this guy, all of them. And now let's make... I keep pressing Alt for some reason. It's not Alt, it's this. Let's go. Fire them bastards. Fire to all of them. I didn't even notice that I was dying there. But there we go. It doesn't seem to be affecting our FPS much whenever the fire attack happens, right? Do something. Do something. You got a pistol? Please, use it. Use it properly now. Come on. There we go. Okay, it's all good. 100 FPS, guys. Very nice and smooth still, of course. Not as high refresh rate, but it works just fine. And heal myself again. This guy's very big. Okay, 101 FPS. 97-ish. So it's a less than 5% drop whenever you're using fire. So not a problem here in this title, once again, guys. Some loot. Alright, I like the lighting here. Also remember that ray tracing is enabled. That's probably why it was so intensive at native resolution without DLSS, you know. It's the lumen and the nanite. It's just way too intensive, I guess. Water as well, not a problem. Running very smoothly indeed, guys. Not a problem. Again, like, this is a 5090. If anything, it should be running faster than it actually is, once again. But again, could be because of that ray tracing. But still, I'm going to turn off all of the upscalers now. So we're back to native resolution. I'm going to stand here, getting 65 or 66 FPS. Okay. And now I'm going to turn off the ray tracing. Yeah, there we go. We need to restart the game to apply it as well. So I'm going to save the game right here. And without ray tracing, as you can see, guys, we're getting 71 or 70, yeah, 71 frames per second. So it's a 5 FPS difference. It's not really that noticeable when you're playing the game, guys. All right, ray tracing's turned off, as you can see. Native resolution, epic settings. It's a bit of a shame, honestly, because I thought maybe that was why 5090 on epic settings, you know, was getting such low FPS. But no, it's not because of ray tracing. It's just the game is way too demanding for how it looks, especially. Wait, I do have this. Yeah, there we go. I'm not using my spells or attacks properly, so come on. Stab him in the back. What is he doing? Wait. Okay. No, all good. All good. Come on. No, don't you dare. Don't you dare doing that to me. Well, I guess with ray tracing, it would probably be dropping from 60 FPS because it's down into the like 65 FPS range very often. Come on. There we go. Did we get him? Almost. Almost. I'm forgetting to use my second dagger. Yeah, I should be doing that. Instead of just using the one. There we go. Good stuff. You get the idea. With a GPU this powerful, I think you should definitely enable ray tracing. It will make lighting and stuff look a bit better, you know. It still looks good like this. Not super impressive, once again, especially for the performance, as I was saying. But it does look good, and ray tracing just makes it look just a tad bit better, you know, without breaking the performance completely in this particular title. So just use that. Anyway, I'm going to re-enable ray tracing, and this time around, I kind of want to check it on high instead to see how much of a difference there is. And this is it, guys. In the exact same area as we saved the previous time with 66 FPS, with ray tracing, 4K native resolution, and the epic settings, we're now getting 99 frames per second or 98 on high settings. And it looks pretty much the same, honestly. So again, it's not a case of the game being terribly optimized just because it runs and drops from 60 FPS at 4K native on a 5090. It shouldn't for how it looks, but you can actually just lower down the graphics slightly and achieve a way higher FPS number. It's going to be way better of an experience like this. If you prefer the native resolution, that is, than just enabling DLSS quality. I do prefer DLSS quality enabled instead of doing this, because that way you can use epic settings, which is maximum, of course, and you're not losing on anything graphically speaking, and it also looks a little bit sharper at the same time with the DLSS4. However, if you want to keep the native res, well, you can keep the native res. It's going to work absolutely fine, of course. And with quality DLSS now, instead of getting like 90 to 100, which is what we saw previously on epic settings, we're now getting 100 and teens, basically, up to 120 FPS. So a little bit of a difference there once again in terms of the smoothness. And again, it looks slightly sharper. There we go. Good job. Fight the bastard. Also, I am forgetting, but I do have this in store for you, Bob. Goodbye, Bob. Burn and go to hell. And also, we can enable that multi-frame generation over quality DLSS. And instead of getting 300 FPS, we're now getting 370, 360. It actually did stutter a little bit over there, but it was probably just loading this area. And in terms of the PC latency, it's very similar to what we saw previously at native resolution with epic settings. But yeah, guys, 20 to 30 milliseconds of PC latency is great. All right, it's not going to be noticeable at all. We're almost at 400 FPS at this point. It works extremely well. Oh, nice. We actually arrived at a beautiful city. A lot more detail over in this area. That's cool, okay. All right, PC latency is a bit higher as well here, because the FPS are lower, obviously. And I guess I will disable the frame generation to see how many frames we can actually get at native FPS. I feel like CPU is a slight bottleneck here. I didn't really think that the 9800X3D would be utilized up to like 60% in a game like this. But it is. And the GPU utilization is slightly, ever so slightly fluctuating there. It goes down to like 92% at times, 89%. So we're CPU bound. And these are high settings, not epic settings. So this is extremely intensive, guys. A lot of people are saying this is a very well optimized title, but the longer I play it, and especially after arriving at this city, it kind of isn't. You know, we're seeing a bit of stuttering. For a UE5 title, it might actually be one of the better optimized ones, but I was expecting it to be a bit better than it actually is right now. But what I'm going to do now is go back to Epic settings and check it out here in this area, the town area, on Epic settings. Okay, I'm noticing that there is a bug in this game where the upscaling says it's turned off, but it's clearly turned on. I can't tell a difference once again in terms of the visuals, whether or not this isn't running at native 4K. But I can tell you that these are the FPS that we saw previously with the upscaling set to DLSS quality. And if I go here again, set it to quality, go back to off, now it's turned off. Okay, 69, of course. Of course, it has 69 FPS in this still image. Oh boy, I stopped in the perfect picture. Okay. All right, there we go. Start counting the frames once again, and first of all, we can see that the PC latency is at 30 to 40 milliseconds with 60 FPS. Still feels responsive, obviously. It's 60 FPS gameplay right now, so not a problem with that. But yeah, that's just so you can see with the frame generation enabled, it's still going to feel really responsive. Dropping into the 50s again over in this area. Not that impressive again, guys. I mean, for the graphics, I was expecting better. But for the engine itself, I guess it could be worse. Could be even more stuttery, you know. Keep on going. People are just chilling here. This guy is just chilling here. The other ones are fighting. Bobs, yes. You know, I like to believe these guys are Bobs. They get bitten all day long. That's nice. And they can't move. Even nicer, right? For Bob, that's what he deserves. In terms of the textures here, they don't look that impressive once again. But the game also doesn't utilize a ton of VRAM, which is nice, as you can see. Let's go with quality DLSS now in this area. This is nice that we're seeing different areas here in this video as well, because obviously FPS will be different depending on where you are in the map. Since it's linear as well, some areas will be more populated, more dense and stuff, and here it's way more CPU intensive. Now, can we... I think so, right? This is very well positioned, suggesting that we should make this jump. Screaming. Nice! Is the guy jumping as well? Kai, get over here, buddy. Where are you? There he is. He did jump. So yeah, with DLSS4 on quality, again, it's going to look fantastic. It says DLSS3 in the menu, I know, but we overwrote it. If you skip to this part of the game, or of the video actually, we will overwrote the DLSS version as well as the multi-frame generation version, or the frame generation actually. But yeah, it's pretty smooth like this. We're still a little bit CPU bound over here, dropping down the GPU utilization to 93% there. I saw 91% already, and getting 80 to 90 frames per second. It's a bit of a shame. Once again, the best gaming CPU is only capable of, what, probably 100, 110 FPS in this game, single player as well. But I guess there are a ton of NPCs, and again, UE5. Now, frame generation. Let's turn that on, because that will make a huge difference, of course. I didn't really pay attention to the PC latency before I enabled multi-frame generation right now. But right now it is at 30 to 40 milliseconds, going up to 47 milliseconds at times. That starts to get pretty noticeable, honestly, but it's still not unresponsive, you know? It still feels quite good. It's only at like 70 or 60 milliseconds, maybe like 50 plus milliseconds consistently, that you start feeling a considerable delay, and it starts not feeling as good as it would otherwise feel if it was with lower latency, of course. If you're very sensitive to it, you might not like it, even with these values, because you can notice a little bit of a difference, but it's very minor. I don't care, honestly. I prefer this, and I think it does add something to the gameplay experience, you know, some good to the gameplay experience. Whereas a lot of people like to say, it's fake frames, it's terrible. It is terrible for a performance comparison, for example. You know, but in some titles, again, it can enhance the experience, and I think in this one, it's one of those cases. It's not a reason to buy a 50 series card instead of a 40 series card if you're deciding between like a 4080 Super and a 5070 Ti. They're roughly around the same performance if you overclock the 5070 Ti. The main difference is FG 2 times on the 4080 Super, FG 4 times on the 5070 Ti, and if you can find the 4080 Super for like $100 less, I would grab that instead. And well, guys, I think we should now disable DLSS FG, disable the quality DLSS as well. So we're back to native resolution, and I'm gonna try it at 8K resolution. And here we go, 7680 by 4320 native with epic settings now. Oh boy. I mean, seeing how it was already dropping from 60 FPS at 4K native, I don't think this is going to be a playable experience, and indeed, I mean, it isn't. It isn't, because it will inevitably drop into the 20s, and I don't consider 30 FPS to be playable for a $2,000 GPU or higher, of course. Yeah, you're spending way too much on this card, so the 30 FPS is out of the question. At least it would be to me if I was buying a GPU like this. But yeah, if you were wondering about how this very intensive UE5 title is running on the 5090, it's rough. It is very rough. It's about half the performance of 4K resolution with 4 times the resolution, so it's not too bad considering, but no, I would never do this. The good news is 16GB GPUs would not run out of VRAM in this particular title, so that's nice. Let's do the fire spell. Let's go. Why don't they stop hitting me when I throw fire? I don't understand. What is that guy doing, by the way? My boy is fighting another bear. Okay. Why aren't you helping me fight this bear? Not too bad. I think with some upscaling, we will actually make it playable. So performance DLSS at 8K resolution, 40s. We usually see a bigger difference, actually. So yeah, 8K is not happening. Performance DLSS, especially Performance DLSS4 at 8K resolution, is super good looking, guys, okay? It's kind of very close to the native stuff. It's rendering the game at 4K, upscaling to 8K. There's a ton of pixels there to begin with before the upscaling takes place. And it works really well. The higher the resolution, the better DLSS will look, or other forms of upscaling as well. So it's no surprise that performance DLSS works wonders at this resolution. Let's drop it down to high settings, though. Apparently you don't need to restart to apply the high settings. Okay, so yeah, high settings here does give us the 60 FPS experience, although most of the time it's still below 60 FPS, unfortunately. Oh, look, this is... What are you? Interesting boy. Also, we got chickens here. And this is open. And they're running at 3 FPS as well. Just like Jack did. This is so weird. I don't like that I am playing the game on epic settings and the chickens are running at 3 FPS. That feels off. That feels very off, actually. But anyway, if it's in the name of optimization, I will allow it. But yeah, guys, that's it. If you want an 8K experience with 60 FPS, high settings is your friend, DLSS performance is your friend as well, and obviously on top of this we could enable the frame generation. I think the baseline is acceptable for FG, and get 200 and or 170s actually. Let's see, PC latency, it's still below 50 milliseconds most of the time. Feels responsive enough to me, although, yes. I was gonna say it doesn't look that smooth compared to previously, but I just remembered we're doing 60 Hz now at 8K, so that's why. I can only see 60 FPS at the moment. But it would be very smooth, of course, if you had an 8K 120 Hz or 144 Hz monitor, which I don't think exists. So there's that, guys. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if I should test this game in other GPUs, and I will definitely do it. Seems like a very interesting game, and I am enjoying it here. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, I love you all. Bye-bye.